Hello everybody and welcome back to another Jurassic World Evolution 2 video. In today's video we're going to be making a top secret dinosaur research facility on a little island. So I started off by putting fences around the outside to give it that closed off feel, because it is super secret and I don't want any random boats or shipping boats parking up and checking what's on the island. So I just made sure I had one big thick fence going all the way around, and then the park will be built inside of this fence. There's also 2 islands on the other side, but we'll get into what I'm doing with them later. I also made an arrival area and then tried to get to work on a runway. Now, I've never built a runway in one of my parks before, so I was quite unsure on how you do it. But it was a lot of trial and error. I was getting close to doing it, but then there was always one problem. One of the paths was uneven to the rest, so I had to try and fix that problem and make all the lines equal distance, which was quite difficult. So I had to just keep tearing it down, placing it down again, and see whether it actually turned out good or not. I was gonna just make it so I'd have little gaps for the centre, and then little gaps at the start as well. This is just basically just a normal runway, and as you can see here, I'm just making it so there's little tiny gaps, and then I'm going to put sand over after. I would normally do snow, but the map I chose did not have snow, which was my fault, but I think it still turned out alright in the end. Had to cover up the left lanes as well, which was quite a pain. Did take me quite a while, but lucky for you, it's in 4 times speed, so it's all gonna go faster. This did actually take me 4 hours, I think it was, to build, including the actual sculpting of the island. So I really do hope you guys enjoy the end project, and stay tuned to see what it looks like. So then I did the sand, and then I had to go around after and make sure there was no sand on the outside, and also sand was 100% in the lanes. Then I did a little pull-off bit where they'd get out, or the cars would go. When they land, did this random lane. I can't remember why I did that. I think it's just a bit more detail, I'd like to say. But no, then I made a control centre. So then when they get through, they have to go through the control centre first, because it's top secret. They can't just willy-nilly walk in. So they have to go through the control centre to actually make sure they can see the whole park. So I did that. I had to fix this little bit here, it was very uneven. And then I just covered a bit of trees around it as well, because it is supposed to be quite secretive. I didn't do the whole place full of trees, but I did try and add trees where and when I could. Now in this area here, I was going to make a bit of a bison courtyard, if that makes sense. So I had expedition centres, control centres, just anything that looked nice. Didn't really matter about the use of it, but just anything that would look like it would fit in. And then I had to try and do the pain, which is making a courtyard. It's quite hard in this game. You can do it, but especially on control, you gotta just keep going over and over the path again until there's no grass gaps. That's one thing I'm hoping that the Evolution 3 will sort out, to make it easier to build courtyards, because I love adding courtyards to my parks, but they are sometimes a pain to build. I then started to add a fountain in the middle. I think I couldn't really decide at the time which one to go for. I was a bit indecisive, but I think in the end I decided with this one. And then I put little fountains surrounding the buildings as well. This took me quite a while, because you have to make sure they're in the perfect gap and the perfect rotation, otherwise it just looks awful. But I think it did turn out all right in the end, with this little curve off here finishing it off. This was going to lead to the runway, so if they did come through playing, they go through there, like that. And then I made another mini courtyard for it. I was thinking about making another entrance, but I didn't in the end, and instead just surrounded it all by trees. Then found out where I placed that. It was really annoying because it didn't fit, but it was simple enough to fix. I just had to remove the building. put it down a little bit further just so the path could connect. It took a little bit of hard work to get that to perfectly fit, but it did in the end, and I could carry on with the park. Now I think I made an outer perimeter with the paths that would go pretty much all the way around. I also actually added a hatchery. I don't think I added a hatchery there that early, but apparently I did. I might remove it, I'm not too sure. I just really do not remember adding the hatchery. And then I added trees there. Those trees would be temporary, they're not going to be there forever. No, I just put some science buildings down as well, because it is a research area, and it can't be a research area if it doesn't have science buildings. That would just not make that much sense. Okay, I made another mini courtyard over here as well. And then I got rid of the trees, and I think I got to work on my first cage. Now, this cage was going to be research on the Jurassic World hybrids. So it's going to be like testing them in battle, because I sort of went for a bit evil, like, science research facility, not made by anyone that we know from Jurassic World. Sort of like a Manticore inspired thing, where these dinosaurs would be tested to see if they were good enough for battle. I also added a Spinosaurus versus T-Rex in skeletons next to it. I just thought that looked really cool there. And then I added another Dominion fountain with little split-offs, and then these two things next to the building. Now, for this battle arena, I made it all like dirt, so it's just used for battle. No like actual life could properly live there. And then I also had to obviously add the hybrids, and then I moved on to adding some dead trees to just show that it is a dead area of land. Also had to add water so they would actually be able to drink and not just die. Then after that I made a viewing gallery. I would eventually change this viewing gallery into a science one, but for now it's like that. And then I was thinking about making a path connecting, but I realised I couldn't, so I think I added some gas. Yeah, I added some gas crates right next to it in a bit of a line. All of them weren't straight, which was a bit annoying, but it was out of the way, so it didn't really matter. Then this was going to be like a little trailer park, so I'll just line up loads of trailers. And then I carried on with this little path that would go in the middle of two cages. This would be one of the main paths towards the end that would connect to almost everything from the start. I also connected it to the airport, the airstrip, and then I also connected it to the main courtyard. Now all I did was put a little perimeter around with these paths, just going all the way around next to the cages and next to the fence. That eventually lead to all the other stuff that I've got in the rest of the park. I stopped it a bit early because I had a plan for that little area over there. So I did plan to stop it a little earlier and then work on the next cage, which is going to be obviously the other main hybrid from Jurassic World, the Indoraptor. It's going to be another little fight area where the ground would be dead, loads of dead trees, and then I would eventually add something for it to fight in there. These cages are easy to make, just a bit of water, dirt, and then loads of dead trees. And then what I did was just obviously incubate the Indoraptor. But I wanted to make an actual hatchery for it because these aren't normally made dinosaurs and the ones from Jurassic World are dead. So I had to make it like they made it themselves rather than they just found one on an island, because they would not do that with an Indoraptor or Indominus Rex. After that I put two research thingies down and made another mini courtyard. This courtyard was going to have a few hotels on it. Let me just finish the courtyard. Yeah, it's going to have a few hotels. I'm going to make it probably a little bit... I think I made it a bit thicker. I made it a little bit more thicker as well. And I also wanted to add something a bit different in this one. I wanted to add like a research tower as well as the hotels. Oh, and of course, emergency shelters had to be added to make sure, well, everyone would be safe. Even though they are just meant for workers, this will 100% keep them safe. Now, there was going to be guests in this park, but they'd have to pay good money to get there. And then when they travelled over, they'd have to have bags on their heads and everything like that. Sort of like what they did in Camp Cretaceous, if that makes any sense. Then I got to work on the little tower, and then put in some crates next to the hotels as well. And then put some lights around for when it's nighttime. After I finished that, I just carried on doing what I was doing with these paths going in between the cages, and then eventually connecting to the courtyard. I also wanted it to go around the back of the hotels as well. I had to make sure it was lined up perfectly, which was quite tricky actually. I didn't expect it to be that hard, but it was. And then connected it like that to make it a bit more of a courtyard. I tried to do a bit different colours, but I thought no, I'll just leave it grey because that grey looks quite nice, and it is just intended for research mainly, and then a few guests if they paid good money. After that, I think I worked on the aviary. I think I wanted some flying creatures because I am going to add some islands, and this is where the islands are where the creatures would have been grabbed from. And they didn't want flying creatures just roaming around, so they would have grabbed them and put them in the cages, which is what I'm planning on doing here. So then all I had to do was I think I added more hotels. I wanted to add a bit of a row of hotels because there's quite a lot to see near this area. And then I made the viewing gallery, and I actually made the aviary hatchery as well. And then I just carried on fixing the paths up as much as I can. These were quite hard to do because if you missed a little bit, you'd have this weird grey outline of the path, which you did not want. Now in here, I gave it a bit more care. It weren't used for a battleground, it was used just to house the flying creature. So what I did, I just made it perfect for them. Also released raptors into the Indominus Rex cage. So they're testing to see if it can actually communicate properly with raptors and live alongside them. I added these little birds in there, 4 of them, and then covered the empty space with trees. Also made a path going around the outside of the aviary. I do this a lot with a lot of my cages to make sure that they can get around it. So then when I can make other cages, there's still paths connecting to everything. Like that. I also added a Brachiosaurus skeleton. And then I think I added some lights as well along the side. Yeah, I did. Little row of lights. And then I made another courtyard. I like making courtyards for when there's another cage or dinosaur to be added. I think they just look really nice, rather than just thin paths. Because if you go to a zoo or something, you don't always have just thin paths going to the animals. You normally have big areas of land where you can relax. And obviously in Jurassic World, it has to be a path. Guests can't go on just grass on its own. I then got to work, I think it was another hatchery. I can't remember what I added here. I think this was just going to make a lot of the dinosaurs in the park. And then I made the cage. Now, the cage is pretty simple. I just got to get it as close to the path as humanly possible. And then I think I fixed the little courtyard there. And then made another path going around the edge of the little fence. Now, I think I tried to fix this path. I didn't think I liked it that much. I just tried to fix it as much as I can. Now that I'd done that, I wanted to make another courtyard for another set of creatures. This courtyard was quite a pain to build because it was on loads of curves and it was quite a big area. But I did eventually manage to build it after a lot of blood, sweat and tears. Because this took me a while. It's taken a while in 4 times speed, so in 1 time speed it was painful. The game was getting quite laggy due to how many paths I put in that one little area as well, which was not helping in the slightest. But no, I eventually got to finishing it. Didn't take too long to do. Like that. Well, I reloaded the game up because it was lagging, and then I fixed the cage, making sure they could eat. And then actually decided I might incubate my first creature. I think I went for the Spinosaurus first, and then I also went for a Therizinosaurus as well. Well, they were all incubating. I think I finished off the path. Oh no, it was already finished. I then decided to make some viewing galleries for when I build the cage. I wanted to add hotels as well, and the viewing gallery would go on the left of the hotels. As you can see, I put the research viewing gallery around there. I wanted to build the fence first though, to make sure it was perfect. This would be quite a big cage, and the dinosaur that I wanted in it would be one of the only herbivores on site, if the only herbivore that I'd have on this research facility. Because it was mainly testing strength of the dinosaurs, and obviously they wanted more carnivores because it was mainly used for war. But what would happen is, because the Therizinosaurus was really aggressive and strong, they still wanted to test it to see if it would be any use to them. So then I carried on finishing that, and then I wanted to add a lagoon somewhere, but I couldn't really decide where I wanted it, so I decided just to make a courtyard over here, and this would be where I ended up putting it over on this area. This would be the only lagoon that I would have in this park, just so it was like there was a actual swimming dinosaur nearby, and instead of leaving it in there just to maybe even eat the guests, they decided to take it and research on it, see if it was any use to them at all. So yeah, that's what I did. I just made a big courtyard. This one was easy apart from the little leftover bit, which was quite annoying. But no, it was pretty easy doing this one. It was not even as well, which really annoyed me about. I could easily fix that. Like that. And then I was debating whether to put the lagoon over there, but I thought, no, I had another idea for what I wanted there, so instead, I built it here. It was quite a big one. I didn't want to go any bigger than that, because I still want room for other stuff as well. After doing that, I just made sure the paths looked, well, as good as possible, really. I made it a bit thicker there, like the courtyard did lead to the viewing gallery. There weren't going to be much on that courtyard, because I didn't have enough room. But I still made it, because it looks really good from above, in my opinion, so I thought I'd just do it. I then made another one, really close to where the lagoon was, and I was going to make another one close to that as well, for the idea that I said at the start of the video I had for the end area. Now this was me just having a little think of where I should go next, and I was thinking about putting one there, but I didn't want to put it there because I like to have the paths around the outside, which I haven't done at the top side yet. Then I made little hotels because the big one was too big. I then also put, I think it was, one of those buildings down, and then tried to connect it as best as possible. I try to get the paths as close to the buildings as well. If I'm doing courtyards, I try and get it as close as possible. And then I think I started on, making a outside perimeter on the top. This is what I like to do around this area, because I feel like the fence, it should be used as paths, and then everything's on the inside of the paths. So I did that, and I also made it lead back to near the start. The path wasn't straight though, and it really annoyed me. I was trying to get it as perfect as possible. I think I was quite happy with how it was there. Then I carried on this perimeter, which would eventually lead to the start area, so they can go two ways from the start. And then I also added some fences along as well. I think I should have added on this top area a booth or something to make it they're still checking to make sure you are with the park. Because I did that on the other side, but I forgot to do it on the top. That was my fault. But then I just got to work on more cages instead, and I think another whole courtyard. I really like courtyards, I know I do, but I feel like it's really good, especially for something like research. I just think it really goes well. And I never really added them in the park before, so I just decided I'll do something different with this park, and I really liked how courtyards added something different to the park. And I also put a few hotels. This took me a while to squeeze this hotel in. I knew it could fit, but it was so temperamental like it had to be perfect fit, and it actually got one in. I couldn't get another in though. There was not enough room at all to get another one, but I did try. So instead I just put emergency outlet and restroom, but then I wanted to move the restroom because I like connecting that path. And then I put the restroom there instead, which actually turned out really well. I was really proud that fit. After that, I just connected all the paths together. And then I realised this empty land, I didn't really know what to do in it for now. But then I decided to fix this and make it a bit of a pond area as well. Like it is just sort of what used to be on this island before it's all teared down to be a research facility. And in this area, I wanted to make another courtyard, but then this courtyard would go on to a slightly different cage. It was going to be a free roam cage. Now, how I do the free roam cage is invisible fences, because I don't want them actually free roaming. If it's an ocean, they wouldn't go into the ocean. But it'd be amphibious dinosaurs. I think you can sort of guess what two species I'm on about that are going to go here. It took me a while to get the exact fence that I needed for this as well. I had to try and work out what fence it was. And then when I did, I had to make sure it was all straight, which wasn't too bad. I then wanted to make like a little cage, a little gateway to get out using the raptor one, but I had to move the hotel over a bit to the left first, and then I could actually do it. With that, I'm not going to do the other thing that you can do where you could put it on top, because it could sort of make it uneven, and I just wanted to leave it like that, because when you do the first person view, when you're an actual person, you can walk through that. Now, this courtyard was quite easy to make, actually. I did it quite fast. Normally, they take me quite a while, but this one was alright, actually. Not too bad. I think I was getting used to how to make them a bit as well. But yeah, I just made it connect to the other one as well. And then, after I finished all of that, I wanted to make sure that they can actually be viewed in the thingy from this side as well, the lagoon. I hadn't added a creature in the lagoon yet, because I didn't want that creature. I wanted the other one, the Tyrannosaurus, I think it is. So I had to just quickly get rid of them and then add them instead. I then also started adding the creatures into their cages over there soon as well. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I also made another aviary. Now this was going to be for one of the biggest bird you can get in this game, which is the Quetzalcoatlus. I also made another little bit of thick path. I'm going to stop saying courtyard, I've said that way too many times. Can you try and comment how many times I've said courtyard in this video? It's going to be a lot. But yeah, then I made this area. See, didn't say it. I had to make sure there's no gaps in the fence, in the paths. And then I also made another cage next to it. It's going to be a bit of a weird shaped one because it was going around the aviary, but it should be alright. And then I connected it to there. I also tried to connect this path, but apparently I had to curve it because the actual viewing gallery on these things are really temperamental. I also put a fountain in the middle, so it's not just a flat piece of a courtyard. There we go. I said it that time. I don't care. And then added feeders. I don't know why I added shark feeders, because I'm pretty sure these guys cannot eat that. I think it's only the Mosa. So I also added fish things as well. Now, this is like the really weird shaped cage, because I was just using a room that I had left. And it just looped around the aviary and the lagoon, and eventually connected in there, and that open space would be another miniature courtyard. So yeah, then I connected some viewing galleries as well, and then I think over on the other side I tried to make some emergency shelters and restrooms. Yeah, I did. And I just made sure there was enough around the whole area, because dying workers and dying guests are actually bad for business when you're doing a legal dinosaur fight area, research area. It's actually not good for business, so I had to fix that. After I fixed that, I think I just got to work on adding some creatures, because I pretty much built everything that I wanted to build, apart from the beach area that I told you with the free roam dinosaurs. That'll be towards the end. I also added a T-Rex. I only wanted one T-Rex. It weren't actually going to be in this park, though. I didn't want to add it in any cage. It was going to be free roam, which we'll have to wait till later to see what I do with a free roam park. So after that, I think I got incubating a lot of creatures. And then I actually got to work on where I wanted the Suchomimus and Baryonyx. All you had to do was just tear down this whole fence and then add the invisible fences that I was on about. These invisible fences would go in the water, but not too far. Like that. So they can actually drink from the water, they can go in the water because they would normally do that, but they can't actually migrate over to another area of land. This Pherosaurus had to make sure it lived because the last one I added died. Not my fault. Well, it is my fault actually, but we don't talk about it. And then I just added some trees and fish for the Spinosaurus because I want to make sure these guys are happy. They will probably eventually use them for battle against either the Indominus Rex or something like that, but they still want to make sure they can live and thrive. Now, I'm going to be working on another mini ecosystem because I haven't made an ecosystem for a while. So I just made like some mini islands that the dinosaurs would live on. Now, I did go play around with the foliage on this island because I don't normally do this with my normal ecosystems because it's like a whole map. But since it's little islands, I tried to put as much like effort into it as I can. Not that I don't put effort into my ecosystems, I do, but like this is difficult. It's a small area of land, it's got to pop. So I tried my best to make it pop. And I think I did pretty well with it. I also made sure there was sand around the outside of it as well, and it had actual water to drink. And then after that, I think I got to work on actually being able to add creatures as well as putting invisible fences around. Same thing I did with the Suchomimus, so it could go into the water a little bit, but not too far. I also made a cage for the other smaller island as well, just basically surrounding it like that. And then I think I added a little river going through the middle. Now after that, I wanted to add dinosaurs there, but airlift just takes too long. I also made sure that they don't starve or don't dehydrate. For now. I made sure they don't starve. They can still dehydrate, but that's their own fault if they do that. But what I did, I added the Quetzal because I hadn't added that, and then I changed the land a little bit just to put a hatchery down by just getting rid of the water and connecting it to the actual island. And then have to tear down the fence and connect the path. That's what I did just to add dinosaurs because it's a lot easier doing it that way. After that, I added loads of like dinosaurs, like parasaurs, I think it was trikes, stuff like that, all into this little island. And I'd let them explore it all on their own. The only dinosaur that was there yet was a T-Rex, which was airlifted from the hatchery. When there was gaps fixed up, because it was a big area, I wanted to add more than just a 5, but on the little one, I'd have 5 species of dino. So yeah, I tried to add as many as I can without making it too overcrowded. I think I did a right amount for this island. And on the smaller island, I'd do 5 species. With only one carnivore. I think it's 1 or 2 carnivores. One big carnivore anyway. That's what I did. I made that little area. I had to fix all this with the fence as well. And I just did the same over here for the other island. The other island would have smaller, less harmful creatures. Like smaller herbivores and smaller carnivores. I think the biggest one was like a Allosaurus sort of thing. I know what the actual dinosaur is, I just don't know how to say it because I'm just bad at pronouncing dinosaurs apparently nowadays. But yeah, after that we just added them all over there. It's basically incubating them and then releasing them all. I had to finish the actual park. I had 3 leftover gaps. But they actually incubated 4 creatures. Now, these 4 creatures, because one of them would go into the Indominus Rex and Indoraptor cage, which would be what they'd be hunting. And then the other 3 would go in their own cage, as you can see here. So I added 3 carnivores, and then I added, I think it was a Taurosaurus. Yeah, I added a Taurosaurus, but that Taurosaurus would be split between the Indoraptor and Indominus Rex cage, rather than them having their own. But the carnivores would all have their own cages separately. after I did that, I just made sure to transport them all over. The two saucers in each cage. And yeah, that's all I really had to do for this little area, was just finish off transporting the dinosaurs, and then it was all finished. I also had to add the Indoraptor because I completely forgot to add that earlier. After that, that was the park finished, and it's been a ton of fun making this. It took me really long to make. This is the little island area, which I really enjoyed making, and this is the other island area, which would have dinosaurs, including those little carnivores. And now we're going to do a path tour of the area as well, and let's just get into the path tour. But before we get into that, please thank you everybody so much for watching. Please subscribe and smash like. It's greatly appreciated. And here's a path tour. So this is the main courtyard where all of the people, the guests, well, the highly paid guests and the workers would get used to, like, is there staff centres? I don't know what you call that area, but yeah, it's like a staff centre. This was some of the hotel area next to where the aviary was. And I think I moved over north. Up in the north, we've got the Suchomimus and Baryonyx cage, which you can actually go out onto. It's not even a cage, it's free roam. After that, I just walked around near the lagoon as well. And then I went down towards the actual aviary, where you can see the Quetzal flying around like a madman. Then after that, I carried on walking down. I think I moved to a different area. Oh, I just moved to a Sky View, and there we are. That is the final park. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.